this year than last year for spring ball?
Yeah, that's what I was talking to some of the guys about. It was a lot different compared to last year, and you really don't want to compare it to last year when we first started spring practice. But if you did, it was night and day difference. Really, it's the guys know what to expect now, and having been here a year with our whole program, really good off season, if you want to call it that, the last 7 weeks. And they were eager to get out here on the field, and they felt fresh and really ready to go. The good news is, as far as all the ones that are on campus, we have I think only 5 that will be out this spring, 5 guys total, which is kind of a low number. And even some guys that had surgeries are getting individual work and kind of out there. They may miss some 11 on 11, but they're getting some indie work. But I think for the most part, it was fun to be out here. It's the coaching staff, and we got some new coaches out, and then quite a few new players, and but really the older guys are the ones that have really stood out to me, and just with their leadership and how they're holding everybody accountable and making practice run smoothly.
You mentioned it's 7 weeks since Music City Bulls. Feel like you guys feel like longer than that?
Not really. I mean, I've really, you get right on the field, and a couple of guys mentioned, like, we picked up right where we left off. It just kind of felt like, because they know the routine of practice now, and when you go through a spring and then all fall, and then all those practices for leading up to the bowl game, and, it's basically the same type practice. So the guys really they just knew what to do. And, it's like riding a bike. You just get back on and start going, and I think for us, just honing in on fundamentals. I think getting better as an individual, no matter who you are, if you were a starter or if you just got here. How much better can you get from day 1 practice to day 15? And that's kind of what we're going to focus on throughout camp. Getting better in small steps, and then of course attitude and effort. And we talked about that today too. And these guys have been fun to be around, and they know how to work now.
Being so far ahead of where you were last year, does that allow you to add to what you guys do offensively or defensively?
Well, I don't know that we'll add, and you may by the end of spring start adding a little bit more. I think the thing that really helped us is the fact that where we're starting, we're in a lot better place. So we're starting where maybe last year we were ending in spring practice, and now we're already there. So we got a lot of things that are in right now, and then we'll just build off of those throughout the rest of the practices. But the starting point's the big difference, I think.
Scott, will you change anything the way you do? Obviously you're a little later than you were last year, spring ball. Yeah. But will you kind of do the same routine as you've done in the past?
Yeah, it's going to be the same routine for us. I mean, you're not changing a whole lot, really. I mean, the thing that we did do was push it back a little bit because the new NCAA rule that it's February is a dead period, and so we can't bring any recruits on campus. So we are going this week in February, but then as we start next week and then after spring break, so we'll have a bunch of recruits in here watching practice, and I think that's the main reason why we pushed it back. But you're not going to change the format. We're Monday, Wednesday, Friday, Saturday. Practice schedule is going to be close to the same. We're around 2 hours of practice, and it'll be the same every day.
Newcomers often, have the deer in the headlight look. Did you like from what you saw today as far as their competitive edge from today?
Yeah, we got a lot of them, and but nobody really stood out. I mean, in a bad way, because sometimes I think a newcomer may come in and maybe doesn't look like he fits in. That wasn't the case. I think everybody that's here fit in very well. I think Braden Smith really kind of caught everybody's eye out there today. He's extremely fast and quick, and didn't make many mental mistakes today. He's working the slot receiver for us right now, but I think he'll be a guy that can work inside and outside. He'll be able to do both. But made some great plays today. Runs great routes, can catch, and he's a speed guy. And he's fast, and the thing that he brings in the slot as well is he's got a little bit of size to him too. And I thought Dez Fitzpatrick and Tutu picked up right where they left off. I thought they both had great days today for the first day, and Cunningham, looked like he did in the bowl game. I mean, he looked really good. So. Those guys that we expect to look good, that I think they look good. I think our one offensive line came out and did a really good job out here today for the first day. And I think you're telling the defensive side of the ball, the guys are where they're supposed to be. They're fitting, their fits are really good. They're chasing the ball. I think that's where we were really far behind last year as you think about spring practice, but this year, well ahead of that. So it was good to see. Communication was there. A lot of positives at the first day.
What do you expect out of the quarterback room with behind Cunningham and the competition? And then in regards to that, how has Puma looked since he's been back with you guys healthy?
Yeah, it's good to have Puma back out there. He's going to take him a little bit to get back in the swing of things practice-wise because he's missed so much time. But he's back. He looks healthy. Mentally looks sharp today. Everything that he did, and then kept Conley. I think his experience that he was able to get last fall was tremendous for him. And so for those three guys now, you feel like you got three guys that are pretty experienced, and that's a big change from last year as well. And now T. Webb coming in, I thought he looked good today in the individual stuff. I didn't get as many reps in 11-on-11 type things, but it's going to be a good competition really for all those guys at quarterback, and it's exciting to see having a little bit more depth when you add T. Webb to the mix. So I think that's going to be a positive.
Coach, you have any update on Trayshawn or Dumerville? I know Trayshawn was suspended. Indefinitely, and then Newcomers missed the whole year.
Yeah, and Trayshawn's not part of the team. He's hadn't been around for a while now, and I think probably hung up on some of the things he was dealing with personally, and Dumerville's medical, and so he won't be playing.
As far as defense, Brian has said it a couple times, and a lot of people might not realize. This is the first time in like 5 years that anybody around has had the same scheme.
Yeah.
How big can that be as far as in the development from year one to year two?
Yeah. It's for any of our players on this team. They hadn't had the same coordinator the same back-to-back years. So it's awesome for them to be able to hear the same language, in the meeting rooms today before practice, and to come out here and hear the same thing. So obviously that's tremendous. When you can have some consistency and continuity. And particularly on defense, if you're going from scheme to scheme year in and year out, there's not going to be any consistency there. And so, we thought last year we certainly had a good build off of the season before. Some really good improvements, 11 points better per game last year, and we're nowhere near where we want to be defensively. But I think hopefully we'll continue this whole all season to get better on that side of the ball, and will give us an advantage. I think hopefully in the fall when we come out and play. But there's no question that having the same crew on that side of the ball makes a huge difference.
What we got to see a little today, Hawkins looks a little bit bigger than what he was. Have you seen that in the offseason?
Yeah, both Hawkins and Hall, both Hassan and Hawks, the last 6 weeks in the weight room, I think have put on some really good weight. They look good today. They're very powerful runners, smooth, has good speed. I think they're going to be a great 1-2 punch again as they were last year.
Coach, obviously, Makai did his combine stuff this week. Just what's that like to have a guy who potentially could be a top 10 pick?
Yeah.
Doing his combine workouts a couple hours away.
Well, that's awesome. Not only for him, but for us. He's obviously one of our own, and what he was able to accomplish. Just in our short time being with him for 1 year, the way this time last year when we saw him, and then where he finished up the season was a tremendous improvement, and how he can continue to get better and better and better. It's exciting to hear his name keep getting popped up. These predictions are coming out. I hadn't seen anything worse than maybe 11th. Getting picked. So hopefully he'll certainly be that top 15 pick. I think it's a big week next week for him. So when you're going and doing interviews, and everybody obviously is going to be looking and looking at everything he's doing. How he's walking, how he's talking. And how his training has been going. So it's exciting for us. I think we're going up toward the end of next week to be able just to spend a little bit of time with him and watch him. But obviously it's very exciting, and obviously we want him to go as high as he can go.
How difficult to replace somebody like that? Not just, but leadership-wise as well.
Yeah, he's obviously a guy that everybody looked up to. He's the biggest guy walking around the campus, and so. But then he played like it too last year, and so. He's a great player. We ran behind him. If you go back and watch a lot of the film, we were running on his side. There's no question. So it's a challenge, to be able to replace him. But Adonis Boone, I think, filled in very nicely in the bowl game. We did a lot of great things. I think Adonis has a lot of potential. I think he's going to be a really great player for us. And for us now, it's not changed. We still got to develop a lot of depth up front, offensive line wise. We signed 5 in this class, and so we'll continue to build that depth and try to replace a guy like Beckton's going to be difficult.
As you go through spring practice, are there guys that might be being looked at for potential position changes or anything like that?
Well, we'll see. Right now, everybody's where they've been playing. As we go through it, usually like to at least get 6 or 7 practices in prior to spring break, and then we'll kind of see where we're at with everything, and then maybe tweak a guy here or there. But right now, the guys are performing those positions that they've been performing in. So we'll see how it goes.
Coach, you like the potential new transfer rule in terms of allowing guys to kind of go wherever they want to?
No, I don't like it. but I understand why they're doing it. I think, I just worry about the things that could happen off of it that people really don't think about. For example, let's say a freshman, just gets to campus. I remember back to my freshman year, it was difficult. It was hard. I walked by, back then we had pay phones. We didn't have the cell phones, These young people don't even know what that is. But I remember walking by that pay phone every day thinking, I'm getting ready to call home. I'm leaving. I'm leaving this place. It's too hard. And I think that's just a lot of freshmen do that. But what happens when that happens to some of these freshmen? They think, well, this wasn't the place I thought it was going to be, and they end up leaving. And then they go wherever they go to. It's like, oh, it's the same here. I just worry about that. I think we sometimes we have a little bit of a sense of, man, if you think about some of the youth football or basketball or anything, baseball right now, if Johnny's not playing here, we're going to move him over here. And if it doesn't work out here, we're going to move him over here. I don't like that. Sometimes I think we got to stick things out, and it's going to be for the best. And then you look back on it, and you're like, man, I'm glad I stuck that out. That's the things I worry about. But it is what it is. Whatever happens with it will happen with it. And I think as coaches, we're going to try to make the best of it. For us, I think, the portal was brought up, a couple of years back, and so we got to, as coaches, got to do a great job of preparing our guys not only for life but playing the game of football. And if we do that in the right way, they're going to want to be here. Players are going to want to be here. It's a huge. Something else that's a huge difference is from last year to this year. Looking at the portal, like huge difference, right? It's night and day. Also, so I think if you're doing the things the right way, there's going to be a little bit of attrition. But your guys are going to stick it out. They're going to stay with you, and because they like what you're doing, and they think they can have success.
You had one guy that left and did come back. I think Corey Reed.
Yeah.
Can you kind of address what went through him coming back and what you expect from him?
I think part of it was the when you look at initials. It didn't count as an extra initial for us, and I really didn't want him to leave him to begin with. Which I understand. Hey, he wanted to go see what else was out there, and he did his thing, and then he wanted to come back, and I wanted him to be back, and so he's been great since he's been back. He's worked his tail off. Can be a huge contributor in special teams, and right now he's working as a wide receiver. And I thought he had a great first day today at wide receiver. He's a guy that could potentially play defense. The question you asked earlier, he could move to that side of the ball, but I think right now we're working him at wide receiver, and I think. Hopefully he finds him a role with that. I think, but nothing else. Special teams is going to have a huge part in that. But he's a guy that I think works hard, does things right, and we're glad to get him back here.
All right.
Thanks, guys.